What's up guys, Drew from Nerds Like You here, and today I'm with you to show my latest console pickups that I've got over the span of about 3 or 4 months, I'd say. Just recently I've wanted to start gathering up a few of the consoles I didn't own or collect for. One of the consoles here I've never ever had an interest at all in ever owning or collecting for. But all of a sudden I have now. So let's get into the consoles I've picked up recently. So up till now I've mostly collected for the Sega Mega Drive, the PlayStation 1, the PlayStation 2 and Xbox 360, I'd say were the main consoles I collected for, and then I've also had an Xbox One, a PS4 and a Switch, the current gen consoles that I buy games for to play now. And I'm kind of collecting for them now as well, because the Xbox and the PS4 especially, the games are really cheap now. There's a lot of cheap games on those consoles. So yeah, there was loads of consoles I was missing out on that I didn't own, and I would only collect the things that I own the consoles for. Here's this lovely Mark I Master System.
Sega challenges you with the ultimate video games. Games that'll blow you away, like Alex Kidd in Miracle World. And coming soon, Monopoly. Knockout games like Rocky. Gangster Town. A shift into more excitement with the arcade hit Outrun. Only on the Sega system. Sega, the challenge will always be there.
Now, I've had other ways of playing Master System games, so I have bought a few of them before, but now I have the actual console. So this is not the one I owned as a kid. I had the Mark II, and I've always liked the look of this. It's very retro looking. So I've got this one. I'll probably will eventually one day pick up the Mark II. The Mark II is really cheap to get hold of, and I'd like to get one of those ones with the Alex Kidd built into it. So yeah, I've got this, but now what I'm finding is, with all these new consoles I'm about to show you, I've run out of space for everything. I have some of my tellies now. I've got a new telly that doesn't have SCART sockets, so some consoles won't go on that. And then I've got a CRT as well, and then I've got another console off my bedroom, which is it's a fairly big flat screen TV, and that has SCART sockets. So I'm having to move around everything and find the space to attach all these for. But I do have a Mega Drive and like a clone Master System converter. I don't have the proper Master System converter, but I can probably play Master System games on my Mega Drive. So I might have to do that and put this away or put this somewhere for now. But it was, you know, I just wanted to own this piece of hardware. Okay, so next up on my list to get hold of was probably my favourite console ever. It's by far not a best-selling console. It didn't do well particularly at all in its lifespan, but I really loved it. At the time, it was the very first console I ever bought with my own money when I got a job after college. Up till then I'd got things for birthdays, or we had to trade in the old ones to get the new ones. My dad would always help me out. But it is a Sega Dreamcast.
Coming to a Dreamcast near you. You will feel the passion of Soul Calibur.
Man, she's off the hook. Oh, perfect.
Soul Calibur on Sega Dreamcast. It's thinking.
Now this one is been completely cleaned, refurbished, and the seller, I got this on eBay, even put, there's little LEDs in the ones, the controller sockets that aren't plugged in, they'll light up blue. It can play any region games, which is good, and the battery inside, there's like a battery that's normally soldered in that you need to replace. He's replaced it, and he's also basically made it so there's like a little thing where you can just slot them in and out, so it's easy if I need to do it myself, I can just undo it and replace the battery in the future. So yeah, really happy to get the Dreamcast. And it also comes with a controller. Now the original controller he sent me didn't work. The analog stick didn't work. But he was kind enough to send me another one when I mentioned it to him. And it also comes with one of the little VMUs, which was the memory card for the Dreamcast, and you could actually place a few little games on these things. They've got its own little LCD screen for certain games, which was quite cool, I thought, at the time. Okay, next up, I saw this in CEX, and I really wasn't going to buy one of these, but this one I had to, because it's one of my gaming franchises. It's a special edition console. So it is a GameCube, and it's the Resident Evil 4 version.
Forget everything you think you know about Resident Evil.
I'm under the President's order to rescue you.
My father? Oh my God! What's going on?
Don't worry, Ashley. I'm coming for you.
Vayan por detrás. Evil has evolved. Resident Evil 4 for Nintendo GameCube. Rated M for mature. Only from Capcom.
It's silver. I find silver a little boring, so I wouldn't have bought this because it's like, wow, it's silver. The one I owned back in the day was a purple one, the regular sort of purple one. I have seen an orange one, but I think that's just a Japanese only release. But it was Resident Evil 4, and do you know what? There's a lot of GameCube games that I loved, and I did love this console. I really enjoyed this console. So I thought, yeah, do you know what? Let's start collecting for this too. But I just couldn't resist this console. It also comes with control pad, and it's Resident Evil 4 control pad as well to go with that. So that's really cool. And I actually only ever bought a GameCube because I knew that Resident Evil 4 was only going to come out on that initially, and I think the remake of Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 0, for a short time the GameCube had the exclusive rights to the new Resident Evil games, and then eventually Resident Evil 4 did come out on other consoles, but I played it on that originally, and so I wanted that version of the game for my collection. Okay, so next up is the console that I have never ever had a desire to own or collect for, and it is the N64.
Nintendo 64 6-color consoles look so amazing. Choosing a favorite might be a bit of a struggle.
Billy? Which one? Billy?
Now, back in the time when the N64 was out, like 1997, something like that in the UK, I had a PlayStation 1. It had been out for a couple of years. I was never really a Nintendo fan. I'd never owned a Super NES, and I'd never owned a Nintendo Entertainment System. I'd always had Sega consoles. So with the PlayStation 1 coming out, and it had already had some really excellent games out on that console, and you know, being a kid, you could only have one console at a time. The PlayStation was firmly embedded as my console, and I was not going to change that for anything. So I was really into wrestling around that time, and the N64, I remember, did have a couple of games that I really wanted, and it just wasn't, they weren't enough for me to go and get that console, because I didn't have my own money to go and do that. But it was the WCW wrestling games. And just recently, now I've sort of got all the consoles that I had sort of owned and I wanted to collect for, mostly. I'd seen, I don't know, just sort of on Instagram and stuff like that, I've sort of been looking at pictures of these consoles in their coloured variants, and I wanted one, and I thought, well, if I can get one of those for a reasonable price, I can also get those wrestling games that I wanted, like 20 or 30 years, however long it's been. Finally I can get those games and play them, so I picked this up. So I managed to pick up, at a very reasonable price for this, a Jungle Green N64. So these were limited edition ones. They brought out other colours. There was fire orange, there was watermelon red, there was clear blue or something blue, and then I think there was like a grey coloured one. I really wanted the orange one, but it was more expensive than this. And then I also really liked the red. The red seems to be the most expensive of all of them, but I went for the green because I think out of all the colours, orange is my favourite colour, and then I generally like green, and my girlfriend's favourite colour is green, so I thought, well, you know, that will go nicely in the house. I think it's actually a really beautiful console. I think the standard N64 is quite ugly, but this, with being the colour, I think this is actually one of the nicest looking consoles I think that I've seen. So I'm really happy with that, and yeah, that leaves me open now to basically buy and play and collect loads of games that I never ever have experienced. A lot of Zelda games that people always go on about being amazing, I've never played, like Ocarina of Time, or there's Majora's Mask, which I know is not quite so popular. I did play one around my friend's house, and I played a few of the games like Diddy Kong Racing and of course GoldenEye, most people played that, Mario 64, but I've never really played Mario 64, I've had a little go here or there, so there's a lot of games on this console that I know I've probably missed out on and would probably appreciate now. The console also came with a green controller to go with it as well, so I just need to get another controller for that so we can play some two-player stuff. Okay, so the last console I have bought, I really was not expecting to get, and I got it this morning. So I went out this morning to pick up a game from Argos that I not pre-ordered, I reserved, and I'd also seen in a local CX in the town where I live, they had the official Master System converter, because I have a Master System converter, but it's not the proper official one. It's like a clone one that's come out very recently, and I wanted the official one. It was £30. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go get that. I've gone to Cash Converters this morning. It's sold. Of course, those things don't really sit in the shops for very long, and especially not at that price. But after being very deflated and upset, I wasn't upset, but you know, I wish I'd bought it. I had a look around the shop quickly and found this, and I was very surprised to see this. So I've been putting off buying one of these consoles, mostly because of the size of them, and like I said, I'm struggling for space as to where I can set them all up. But this was too good to not get. I had to pick it up when I saw it. It's an Xbox, original Xbox, which I own.
Live. It's good to play together.
And I have to say, at the time, Dreamcast had gone, PS2 was out, Xbox was out, and GameCube was out. Now, by the end of that generation, I probably think I preferred the Xbox over all those three. But I just haven't had a massive desire to collect for it because the Xbox One can play a lot of the games backwards compatibly, and they're massive. And this was a bit of a struggle carrying it around the town, but it was a crystal clear Xbox, and they had this in Cash Converters, and when I saw this I was like, that will not be there for long, I have to get it, so I did. I'm really pleased I did, and I've just got to find somewhere to put it now, but I love this console. I really enjoyed the Xbox, Halo and whatnot. There was lots of good exclusive games on that first Xbox console. It came with a controller. This controller is slightly yellowed. It's not too bad. It's not terrible. This is not the first edition, not the Duke controller. This is like the second sort of release where they made the controller a little bit smaller. It feels quite nice. The Duke was huge, and I did struggle with that. But I'm gonna try and find a Duke controller. And I guess this is where they started. You know, all the work going onto the 360 controller and now the Xbox One controller, which I think is the best controller out there. I think it's the best of the current generation. It's probably the best controller that's ever existed, in my opinion. I like how that feels in the hand. So yeah, got a controller with that as well. So I'm really happy with that purchase. That's the consoles I've purchased just recently. Now there are other consoles that I've bought recently last year that I haven't made videos about, so I will show them in more detail at some point maybe. I've got the Mega CD there boxed, and I've got a Saturn box which I picked up last year, so I'll have to sort of get them out and show them to you in more detail. It's going to be difficult because the boxes are all stacked up here, but yeah, there are other consoles that I have bought recently too, which I'll try and show you in another video. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this pickups video. If you have, I would really appreciate it if you'd like the video, that'd be great. Leave some comments in the comment section below. Which of these is your favourite console that I've picked up? And which one do you think was the best purchase in terms of, you know, the coloured N64, the limited edition Resident Evil 4, the crystal original Xbox? And if you haven't already and you've just found yourself stumbling upon this video, please subscribe to the channel if you feel like it, if you enjoy it. That would be great. We always love to have new people watching the channel. And also I have an Instagram, which I actually have been focusing way more on Instagram recently, so I'll leave links to that too, and a little picture here of what it looks like. Yeah, which is where I do post a lot of photos of my retro pickups and consoles and games and all the other stuff like that. Okay guys, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.